Good night, viewers, and welcome to this another program of Advancing the Cause. This program comes to you every Wednesday night from 18:30 hours to 20 hours. The official host of this program is the Honorable Coretta McDonald, AA, MP, and General Secretary of the Guyana Teachers Union. Miss McDonald is unavoidably absent from this program tonight because of other engagements. And therefore, I wish to tender an apology for her not being here. My name is Dennis Jaikaran, and I would be the host of this program for tonight. This is the first program of its kind for 2025. In 2024, this program would have allowed you to be able to enter into a number of areas of dissatisfaction and retrogression in areas of this country. This year, 2025, is going to be a very important year for us because based on what we know that elections are regional and general elections are constitutionally due this year. And so this program is going to up its antenna, so to speak, so that we can touch not only a wider cross section of persons, but we are going to bring you the facts. We are going to allow you to have the information, and we are going to provide an opportunity for you from this very program for you to be able to make that decision so that we have a change of regime in the next regional and general elections. Before I say to you what topic we are going to discuss tonight, I want to remind our viewers that we were not on this program for the past 2 weeks. But in our absence from this program, we were busy visiting every region in this country, allowing ourselves to be so informed about things happening. And I want to report to you, the viewers, that the feedback we would have had, the information we would have received, it is quite alarming what is happening in this country. And therefore, out of those discussions, we were advised that the program for tonight should be falling standards. As we discuss this program, we are going to deal with a number of issues. We are going to deal, which is one of the very many issues that are circulating, the cash grant issue. We are going to deal with some matters of the Guyana Teachers Union. We are going to deal with matters concerning the Ministry of Education, the failed ministry, the defunct ministry. We are going to deal with some health issues, serious health issues. We are going to continue to deal here on this program about the failed or the failure rather of state agencies to perform legal and constitutional duties. We are going to deal with the old age pension. We are going to deal with contracts that were awarded in December, contrary to all the laws of this country, the Fiscal Management and Financial and Accountability Act, the Procurement Act. And so we are going to deal with those contracts, and then we are going to deal with some of the other major issues that are plaguing this country. So let us now turn our attention to the cash grant and to highlight to you some of the things that are very distasteful. And not only distasteful now, but from the very beginning of the announcement of this cash grant. You might want to say as viewers that we are in the process of receiving, but that is not the problem or the question. Please recall that the first announcement that would have been made would have indicated to us as citizens in this country that each household would have received $200,000 taxpayers' money, state money, and not the government of Guyana money, not the PPP money. But we are going to come to state that later on also. And please recall that there was a change, and that change indicated that persons 18 years and over, and maybe a qualifying date would have been given, if given, and those persons will receive, so to speak, $100,000. The other step that would have been taken would have been that registration would have been done for NIS pensioners and old age pensioners. Some time ago, we indicated to you on this program that while we defined pensioners, this program indicated to you that there are three levels or ages of pensioners. One, 55 years. That is when you retire at 55, those who are in statutory employment and have that statutory age of retirement, 55 years. So those persons are pensioners. Then when you would have arrived at the age of 60, if you made the number of contributions to NIS, qualifying you for NIS pension, you also become a pensioner at 60. And then the third level of pensioner that is constitutionally brought to us in this country is age 65, referred to as old age pension. And so when you say pensioners, you must be able to define pensioners. But let us come back to where we were early on. That pensioners and NIS pensioner and old age pensioners to be registered. In this registration process, and here is where we start with falling standards. The dates given, locations given, those were very selective in terms of who went first. That is a discriminatory practice. And to date, based on our information, as I said, while we were off this program during those 2 weeks, visiting different regions, we were advised that some old age pensioners and NIS pensioners are still to be registered. And there is where we are saying that that is a discriminatory act as it relates to registration of old age pensioners and NIS pensioners. And so that is the first aspect of what is the discriminatory act as it relates to the distribution. But here this part, and we are going to come to that when we deal with old age pension. But I'm going to speak briefly about that because this is also discriminatory. There is a particular time, and this program brought that to the attention of our viewers, in the year when some very selective, so to speak, persons who are of age to receive old age pension, while not in this country, and I'm going to come to the act that speaks to that, they come at a particular time. When they come at that time, they receive their pension books. And this last time when they came, whichever location those pension books were distributed, they had an opportunity while spending 1 week to 2 weeks in this country, and they were registered for the cash grant. Registered for the cash grant, given an address in this country, advising persons that they are not residing overseas. That is discriminatory. And here, this other part of it. They left authorizations having departed this country with relatives and friends and cronies to uplift cash grants. If by chance those payments were made, and it is alleged that such payments were made based on persons presenting authorization allegedly, we want an investigation, this program. We want the involvement of the Office of the Auditor General. because that is serious discrimination as it relates to that aspect of the cash grant. And so it is further alleged that persons stood up to collect, and they did collect allegedly. And again, we want to, while I am repeating it, to call out the Auditor General, the Office of the Auditor General, to so look at this very, very important aspect of it. We were told, and we very well believe that, from observations in some corners and payments, locations where payments were made, that many of our senior citizens and many of our differently abled persons were treated in a way very unbecoming of those who were assigned the task of ensuring that our senior citizens, our differently abled persons who are entitled to state funds, taxpayers' money. It is very, very alarming how they were treated. Very discriminatory as it relates to the treatment they meted out. And they complained about it. We received their complaints, and we are saying to the general public and our viewers that there has to be a change of mind in the way in which the distribution of cash grants are so given at a time. This program and all these things I'm saying are all very discriminatory as it relates to the cash grant. This program would have been told that there are allegations that when persons turn up to receive their checks, that their names were called, they went in, they sat down, and they were told that when you receive that check, state money, taxpayers' money, you have to hold that check at the level of your chest or your heart, and they would take out a photograph, the people who are paying. God in heaven knows what are they going to do with that. But we are told that some persons, very brave persons, said to them that they can take the photograph while signing for the check, but they refused bluntly to hold that check by their chests or hearts for them to take out that photograph. That is discriminatory. And I'm urging persons who are to register for the next wave of this grant, taxpayers' money, state funds, ensure you are not put in a position to allow those who are registering you conditionally to hold first your ID card at your chest for them to take it out. Give them and let them take the information. At the time of receiving your check, ensure when you sign for it, they can take the photograph. because your head is down and your hand is engaged, or if you are fingerprinting, your head is still down and your finger is engaged. Ensure, be brave. They are not supposed to take your photograph, you holding that check. If that is a criteria, that is total discrimination. Why should you hold that check? That money belongs to the state, taxpayers' money. And so that is very discriminatory. And this program is bringing this to the attention of persons. And these are all falling standards as it relates to what the cash grant is all about. You having to. They must answer. Somebody must answer. What is the logics behind holding your check, holding your ID card? And mind you, that big label that some persons hold while they commit allegedly offenses, and the police give them to hold. Some persons hold it, and some persons don't get to hold it. So that is apart from it, but showing discrimination as it relates. Now it is further to that. When you go to the lines in the banks in this country, you know all the banks, I don't need to call your names. It is alleged that in some banks, when you go, you have 5 wickets, so to speak, where 5 tellers ought to be working. And it is told that you have between 100 to 200 persons in some banks. And believe it, because the observations would have been made that you only had 1 or 2 tellers attending to 150 persons. And if this is continuous, then there is need for the banks in this country to look at the level of management. They exist not as a business entity, but they exist with people's money, keeping them there. And then again, when you go to these banks, you have a long line of over 150 persons, and then you have specialized persons. Members of the business community, they walk right up to the counter. And when you think there is short of staff, 3 or 4 members of staff rush to that one businessman or woman and attend to them. And when you think that is finished with, they have a specialized line that they signal who to go into that line, and they attend to them. And so these are all things that this cash grant would have given rise to in this country. Bad treatment, ill treatment, so to speak, if we use those terms, of our senior citizens, people who serve this country. And that is the treatment meted out to them. Because the system as put in place was very, very poor. So we come off of that aspect or the discussion as it relates. We're going to come back to that because there are some other things we want to talk to you about. We may move to some matters of the Guyana Teachers Union. On the 17th, Tuesday, the 17th of December, 2024, the General Council the second highest decision making of the Guyana Teachers Union, met for its General Council meeting. And that meeting was held at the headquarters of the Guyana Teachers Union. Among the discussions and the decisions taken, there was a motion presented, read and seconded, debated, and passed by a majority of the members present at that general. And that motion that was presented, debated, and passed allowed for the president of the Guyana Teachers Union and the second vice president of the Guyana Teachers Union, based on the motion presented, debated, passed by a majority, to be suspended. As we speak tonight on this program, this program is so advised that both the president of the Guyana Teachers Union and the second vice president of the Guyana Teachers Union, they both stand suspended. And let me just say to our viewers, in the interest of us knowing and understanding and having a clear picture that these two officers, the president and the second vice president, they were not the first persons, members, so to speak, officers of the union, so to speak, to be suspended. There were many persons, including officers, including persons who were president of this union, officers at the branch level. They faced suspension sometime in the life of this union. So it is not the force, it is not the force. And based on all the reports, it is not the force. So I think this program owes it to you to advise you, viewers, that this is not the first time that officers or members of the union would have been suspended. Let me make some comments about this union. I became a member of this union, the Guyana Teachers Union, in April 1978. And I continue to give support to this union. And I want the viewers to know this union is not the property of a few persons that are now drinking sweet soup, so to speak, from the cup. It is a union for all its members. But you know, the soup is sweet and much for a few. And for those few who we want to strongly believe would have some time or the other betrayed our teachers in aspects of negotiations. And teachers, you should know this. I'm speaking to our teachers for this time. Teachers, for those who are not paid because of the scenario, the situation that present as great members of this union, the Guyana Teachers Union, I am urging you and I am asking you to continue to be faithful financial members of the Guyana Teachers Union. In a few months from now, the Guyana Teachers Union will be holding its elections for central executive officers. And who are these officers? The president, the first vice president, the second vice president, the general secretary, the deputy general secretary, and the three regional vice presidents, Esquibo, Demarara, and Borbis. Those are the officers that you need to vote for at the next GTU election. But you know that some that took sides and some who betrayed you will come to ask of you to support them. Be wise. Know who betrayed you. Know who would have been drinking the soup from the cup. And you need to be strong in the decision you make as it relates to those who you are going to be put in to manage the affairs of this big union, this great union, this very professional union in this country, the Guyana Teachers Union, at its next regional and, next GTU elections sometime in this year. You had a taste of some members of this present executive. If you and you were able to mix with them and you were better able to understand how they were not kind to the teachers of this country. And you know, you have a role to play because without your involvement as required by the Guyana Teachers Union Constitution, you know, you need to set them aside in the next GTU election. This is serious business. Now, this program will keep you updated. Maybe for those who would have been nominated, we would have them afforded an opportunity to speak with us on this program as to how is it they are going to build this union. Because this union is now broken. And it is broken because of persons wanting to use this union as the personal football. Teachers, you have the chance of making that decision. But as I said early on, we would bring on your candidates on this program before these elections are held so that they can speak with you, telling you what are the plans to build this great union. Let us, for this time, move to the Ministry of Education issues. A few days ago, the schools in this country, nursery, primary, secondary, or technical and vocational centers and institutes reopen for the Easter term 2025. And it is very, very sickening to know that on examination from reports, from all indications from the major stakeholders of these institutions, these nursery, primary, excuse me, secondary schools and our technical schools, we are at the falling stages and standards in this country as it relates to education. Most, if not all, of these facilities, these infrastructures, so to speak, are in very poor condition for the reopening of schools and institutions for the Easter term 2025. Many schools are still not reopened for the Easter term. Just once upon a time, I happened to be a regional education officer, a principal of two technical institutes, the Esquivo Technical Institute and the Linden Technical Institute, trade school, so to speak, in Region 10, and the regional executive officer for Regions 2 and 3. And I have a fair idea of the management of education and the regional system. And so, as it is a shame to know that there would have been budgetary allocations for maintenance of these buildings. And in January of a new year, the regional education officers and the regional executive officers of these regions where these projects are not completed. I'm going to come to recurrent and capital projects later on, that they should answer, because there is poor planning as it relates to both the regional education officers and the regional executive officers in these regions where schools are not yet being prepared for reopening of this, the second term in this academic year. It is a shame to know that they do not have a plan of action to provide an opportunity for our parents to know, to understand, to be prepared for eventualities. How is it these facilities must be taken care of? But we are going to come to that. Yet in December, halfway in December, right in this region, Region 2, they give out contracts to the value of $4.5 billion. But we speak to that in this program, but we are talking about the defects of our schools and what are some of the things there. So, on examination, based on report, and these are not allegations, the things are out there. And some of these regional education officers and officers in the departments of education in this country, the chief education officer, the deputy chief education officer, technical and administration, they are all covering up these things to make this government look good. But they are looking bad because they are falling standards. And they are not acting professionally. They are taking sides as it relates to this profession and embarrassing this profession. And that is why we have fallen standards in the education system. So we move on to what is that. There are inadequate, no question about. Don't worry the billions that would have been allocated for education. How it is spent, how those sums of money would have been spent, if all would have been spent to date. But I'm going to come to the PSIP, how far they are for the 31st of December. I'm going to tell that to the public. There are inadequate pieces of furniture, not only for our learners at nursery, primary, secondary school, and our technical and vocational centers and schools, institutes, but there are very serious shortage of quality pieces of furniture for our learners, our teachers, our lecturers, our head teachers, and our principals. And they are complaining. But we said to them, be mindful and careful how you complain, because you would be cited for discrimination. That is the order of the day in this country. Discrimination for speaking for your rights. And so we said to them, we are going to listen, send to us your information. We will compile the lists of all these institutions. We would make it known at a particular time, as we are making it known right now tonight. But we are not listing the names of the schools or the regions. We are giving you what is happening in the entire country, not to paint any picture that things are right. They are falling standards in the education system. And so we have serious. How are we expecting our teachers, our lecturers, our heads of these institutions to perform when they are not comfortable? And not all, mind you. They are selected head teachers and schools that are comfortable. The learners are comfortable. And so what you see happening in Region 10, because I work there, and you can't fool me about that, 80% of the secondary schools in Region 10 are still to be opened. And you know what some of the parents said to me? They said that that might be, especially Mackenzie High School, a deliberate act to ensure that because CSEC coming up soon, that those students that are to be presented for CSEC would not have the opportunity to do great things, to have great grades, falling standards, discriminatory acts of what is happening. Whoever is the redo of that region, Region 10, is doing a miserable work, poor work, and he or she should made to be answered to the people of Region 10. Don't allow them to sit as gentle Jesus and lambs about the place. Let them answer for what they are paid for and what the calling is all about. That is how education operates. And so there are facilities, buildings with leaking roofs, broken floors, broken stairways, absence of stairways, poor guttering, water when it pours about a place, inadequate lights, inadequate space, inadequate ventilation. How learning is going to take place when all these things are happening? And then you celebrate in grand style, thinking people are fools in this country, as you took them for fools while you were registering them for cash grants and the distribution of cash grants. Long lines. This is serious faulty electrical works in many of these institutions. And they had time to fix them. They had money to fix these things. Poor sanitary facilities for our learners and for our teachers. No running water from taps to flush the toilets or to wash hands. No pure drinking water for our learners and our teachers. And that is the education system that would have been appropriated billions of dollars, and then you'd hear a big press conference somewhere, end of year conference, to report of the glory. But there are two types of glories: glory above and glory below. But the education system is the one that is glory below. That is happening with education in this country. And that is only part of it. We have much more to tell you on this very program and on other programs. Now, during the Christmas vacation, they quickly, and this happened with some of the school boards in this country, without any public advertisements, without any interviews, without any shortlisting, the Ministry of Education appointed a number of administrators to schools, especially the board schools. And so some of these administrators as appointed, and other persons, some of the school board, the chairpersons of those boards, are asking the question, under which line item would these school administrators be paid? And further to that, let it be known to viewers on this program that some of these administrators would have indicated that they do not have with them a list of duties. They have not been afforded the opportunity of a desk or chair or an office. That was what was reported to this program. And we don't have reason to come to this program to tell you what are not the facts. And so they are also complaining that since they do not know what is their line of communication or reporting mechanism, whether they report to the head teacher of the particular school, or whether they report to the Department of Education, or whether they report to the chairman of the school board, this is what is happening. In some cases, it is alleged that the chairpersons of some of these boards said bluntly to these administrators, because we employed you, you have to report to us. Falling standards and confusion in the education system. Falling standards and confusion in the education system. This is, again, adding salt to the already ruptured wombs in the education system. And our learners, our teachers are facing the brunt of it. But this program is appealing to our teachers. This year is a decision-making year for you. Don't be fooled. Don't allow people to continue to fool you. You have to make decisions that would allow you to benefit from the system. And so you have that decision to make, and that decision has to be made at a time when you are asked to make that decision. It is alleged that at a particular TVET institution in Region 3, that the head of that institution is a paid person for the distribution of cash grants in Region 3, allegedly. And at a particular branch in that region, you had about 100 teachers who would have been in the line, who would not have been paid up to today, and who would have complained to that same person, and that person had no satisfaction to give to them. But I want all of those teachers and all the other teachers, if by chance such name of that head of that technical vocational institution would have been presented on any ballot paper for you to cast your vote for them at the next GTU election, you know that they would not have represented you, and you have that decision to make. Further, I say to you, it is alleged that when the Guyana Teachers Union would have been on the protest line last year, such person would have been seconded to the Department of Education, Region 3, for involvement and engagement of matrimony activities and paid little or no attention to our teachers who are out there protesting for better condition of work and for increase in salary. And maybe you might want to consider, if such person does not show you now any leadership quality, or would have denied you the right to have that person represent you, both at the level of the union then and as the person being hired, allegedly contracted, so to speak, to pay cash grants and did not represent you, you know that you do not need to support that person, bluntly, so to speak, at the next GTU elections. This is not hiding in the bush. This is telling you the facts of all these allegations that are made. And you know this program would have said to you and indicated sometime that it is alleged that this same person this same person continues to receive contracts in Region 3, given land allegedly somewhere in Wales to do farming. And so the soup is sweet. And so you are betrayed, while some are drinking from the cup the sweet soup. They are trampling on you. Teachers, you have a decision to make at your next elections that would come soon. And you have to take note and pay attention to this person that would have been part of betraying you at a particular time. So we kind of finished tonight with that program, with this issue of education, because we want to touch on some health issues. And I repeat, early on I said to you that in our absence from this program for the past 2-3 weeks, we were busy visiting regions, facilities, and what have you, discussing with people, discussing with institutions and organizations. And so we deal with the health matters now. And it is alleged that there would have been serious shortage of drugs and medical supplies in some, allegedly, of our health facilities. This is serious. Basic drugs and medical facilities. As basic as bandage, so to speak. If you had a wound or a cut, you have to take that to these health facilities. That was told to us. That was told to us. So we want to let our viewers know that again in health, they talk about so many billions of dollars setting up so many health facilities across this country. And you have those that you can't maintain. You have at the West Demerara Hospital, where you have rats running on patients rats chasing out our health service providers. But it can improve because they sprayed them with something and then it became smelly and what have you. And our health providers could not have worked. Our patients had to move away. But that region is managed at a particular level by a secondary school dropout. And so what you expect would happen. What you expect would happen. Then we were told that you have very poor sanitary facilities at many of these health facilities, and they were shown to us. But we did not want to take the pictures so that persons can identify the particular health institution or provider so that they can be able to go and discriminate against them. And so our health providers are working under stress, poor conditions, and they are afraid to complain because of mechanisms that are in place to watch over them while they are at their workplaces performing duties for the citizens of this country. That is what is happening allegedly in the health system. I wanted to say in a particular region, but I'm not going to say a particular region. I'm going to say bluntly in region 2, it is alleged that there is a certain health provider. Whenever you go to that particular health service facility, that person cannot be found. And why that person, based on information, cannot be found is because this person is highly political and this person is getting tremendous contract in this region. And not only him in the health services in this region, but across regions, allegedly, very many health providers are given contracts. So they are busy with these contracts, not attending to our patients that go there for attention, paid by taxpayers' dollars, but they are busy with their contracts. Very many days allegedly not reporting for duty. And recently, right in region 2, while there was this big distribution of this 4.5 billion allegedly dollars, so to speak, for contracts, this same health provider would have been given contracts in this allegedly 4.5 billion and could not have been able to complete at a particular time, still not been able to complete. And it is alleged that he claimed to have some mishap that provided him the opportunity to have a wrap on one of his feet and to now enjoy 35 days of sick leave in the first working week, so to speak, in 2025. If this here that I'm speaking about is not conflict of interest, then what it is? I am now calling out the regional health officer. I am calling out the regional executive officer. I am calling out the permanent secretary of the Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development. The fella that always sleeps while he's in Parliament attending the Public Accounts Committee. And when a question is posed and he has a difficulty in assisting his RUs, he turns on the left side, the right side. So he sees them no more. I'm calling on him. I'm calling out on the Office of the Auditor General, because the world is listening. The world is knowing now what is happening. But mind you, in very many departments of this education in this country, very many health facilities in this country, very many schools in this country, that those who are benefit from taxpayers' money are also contractors, civil works, and suppliers of goods and services. If that is not conflict of interest, and if that is not allowing persons who are in government employ to receive taxpayers' money, state money, and not performing their legal duties, then somebody need to account. Somebody rather needs to account. And this program is bringing it to the attention of the viewers, and so that the public would have a clear idea what is happening in this country as it relates to all of these things that we are saying to you right now. Let us quickly move now to the failure of paid state employees to perform legal and constitutional duties. Paid state employees not performing legal and constitutional duties. This program would have brought you to the attention of an unauthorized and illegal mechanical workshop in a residential area that is causing noise, dust, and chemical pollution. And so 5 agencies would have been written to: the Guyana Revenue Authority, the NIS, and I'm going to say to you why they were written to: the Ministry of Labor, Mental Protection Agency, and the Guyana Power and Light. Let us go them one by one. NIS. NIS would have been written to about 8 times, all of them. So I'm not going to repeat 8 times. All of them would have been written to 8 times. But I'm calling out on NIS, the board of directors and the general manager and the senior staff. There is need for a closer look to the role the inspectors that are attached to the NIS in this region are playing. NIS has been shortchanged allegedly by their own efforts to have their own benefits from these persons. So why NIS? Because NIS is compulsory. And many of them who are now benefit from NIS would have been Carson Forbes Burnham in 1969 when he introduced the NIS scheme, but they are laughing and enjoying the benefits of NIS. And so that is the reason for calling out NIS. But mind you, to give GRA credit, they did what they were supposed to do up to this point in time. But there is need also for GRA to do the right thing of an equal and corresponding submission from these persons, as you do with public officers, to cause them to pay their legal dues. That is why you call out GRA. GPL. GPL would need to visit, and the general manager of GPL would know that a letter would have been sent this year or late last year, I can't recall, advising of many illegal connections, advising of persons being paying for commercial for services, but are using the facilities for industrial services. Falling standards, man. GPL. And you hear about how much excess megawatts you have. Falling standards. The Ministry of Labor, in their annual report or whatever report you call it, you hear there was an increase in the number of accidents and deaths in workplaces. And they found reason because they are very, very reactive, not proactive, and they would have been written to. In the last letter, pointing out to them every aspect of all the acts and laws that would have been contravened. Yet Ministry of Labor, the Minister of Labor, this Pulauri Joe fella, sits receiving taxpayers' money, selectively doing what he wants to do. But I'm going to deal with the Board of Industrial Training at the next time on this program. Child labor, failure to adhere to all the occupational health and safety standards. The fire service, they are also reactive. And so it gives them an opportunity to see what would have happened with those persons who are now suffering because of the explosion of the gas bottle, what have you. And they have people with gas bottle in all these shops and what have you, all about the place. And the fire service just pass in and look at it. Danger to the people in communities across this country. They are not seeing that. Maybe because or they were friends. And then Environmental Protection Agency. The Environmental Protection Agency, let me say to the executive director and all the members of staff, all of you are paid by taxpayers of this country. All of you are receiving state money. And all of you are failing the people of this country by not ensuring that their safety is guaranteed in any way or in any form. More particularly about what you would have been written to as it relates to this illegal and unauthorized workshop, mechanical workshop, in a residential area, allowing for noise, dust, and chemical pollution. But you would not get the right results sometimes because there are other beneficiaries. Once you have a supplier of other things that are being sold when people go to your workshop, they would never say to any investigator, that they are affected. So I'm bringing it so that the world would see and know of this discrimination, and persons are called upon, and you notify agency. Let us deal with old age pension. This is something that the minister and all the minister of social services and all the members of staff of the Ministry of Social Services should take a keen look into. I said, or rather, this program indicated to you some time ago that at a particular time when old age pension books are distributed in this country, you find some persons coming back to this country to receive their old age pension books. They know the time because they are, and it might be allegedly, that members of staff of the Ministry of Social Services are complicit to this situation, because how these people can know that when the books are distributed? So they come and they spend 2 weeks, they give addresses in this country. Maybe they were there before living there, but they are not there. In some cases, they say to people that they are looking after their old mother outside. That is not true. Verification would have revealed that they are looking after old people outside, not their mother. The mother died long ago. And so they come, collect the pension book, sign all of these pages in the pension book, allow somebody who is in Guyana to encash that, illegal and irregular. So audit office of the Auditor General, police, this new fella that was appointed commissioner of police the other day, what's his name? I can't recall his name. Calling out them to look at it. So it is serious. But this is it. This is it as it relates to the old age pension. So that may I advise, not advise. This program is not to advise anybody. This program is to bring the facts. So we are bringing the facts to the Minister of Social Services and all the members of staff to say to them that all of them, from the minister right down, including the members of the Board of Guardians, are all complicit and are all allowing illegal activities. So all of them, and this is not alleged, are in contravention of the Old Age Pension Act, Chapter 3603, Act 17 of 1994. Let me repeat, where the Minister of Social Services and all the members of staff are in contravention of the Old Age Pension Act, Chapter 3603, Act 17 of 1994. 1994. May I further, rather, the program may further point out that the same Minister of Social Services and members of staff should take a clear look at Section 4A, B, C, D of the Pension Act. And while this program is saying that it is important to indicate that the Office of the Auditor General and the police, so to speak, should be allowed those who are culpable in these acts of illegality and contravention of the laws of this country to be held accountable. And once the Office of the Auditor General would have done that, and once the police would have done that, then we can say that they are doing the work, and as they are receiving taxpayers' money, the people's money, that they can be credited. But to date, they cannot be credited because they are receiving taxpayers' money, state money, and are not performing at maximum. So this is something that we want to be able to look at. The post office, the persons at the post office, some post offices across this country, they are complaining about persons going there with these sign pages. And these persons have two ID cards, it is alleged. One that they live here in Guyana and one that they take, so that they take that one to the allegedly to the post office. These are things that we should know, because ID card is a serious business in this country. It is a business, ID card becomes a business in this country, especially elections coming out now. That is why they're running away from biometrics. They don't want biometrics because you know why. So we now turned our attention to contracts in 2024. Let me say to you, that it is alleged that at the 31st of December 2024, the PSIP means the Public Service Investment Program, that takes care of, and there's a prescribed form that heads of budget agencies have to submit based on their appropriation, based on capital works, and they get a feedback or printout at the end of each month. And so as a collective in this country, it is alleged that, and they are hiding it allegedly, that there's a 68.5 completion of capital works based on the PSIP, allegedly, in this country. If that is so, then we can only conclude, and we cannot only conclude, it is by our own eyes we see out there that very many projects, capital projects, recurrent projects, that monies would have been appropriated for in 2024, these projects are still to be completed. But here it is. We want to see what the report of the Auditor General would say as it relates to the number of printed checks from the Ministry of Finance to these regions and ministries and budget agencies. How many are still remaining in the hands of the sub-treasuries of these regions, in the different budget agencies, and in the different ministries? Here is where we are calling out, and we are bringing to the attention of the public that the secretary to the treasury, the finance secretary rather, they called out, the accountant general, and the auditor general should be held to give an account for the appropriation bill of 2024 in both capital and recurrent expenditures, because things are covered enough. It is alleged that sometime in the latter half of December, that Egel edged to this region and allegedly allowed himself, so to speak, to give out contracts to the value of $4.5 billion. And in these contracts, especially the weeding and cleaning of drains and parapets, these very contracts were already assigned to persons, would have already been taken care of by the regional administration, the particular NDCs and the township, the NDIA, the Water Users Association, and these would have been paid contracts. This is not allegation. Yet, there would have been big boxes, many contracts awarded for these same works. So it is not double dipping, it is four dipping. And mind you, that these contracts were not advertised. These contracts were not evaluated. The persons who were given contracts did not present at any time, allegedly, any business registration, any NIS compliance, any GRA compliance, or any organizational structure of the particular agency they are operating. So these are all breach of the Tender Board Act, the Procurement Act, Fiscal Management and Accountability Act. They dole out projects without following the laws and the rules. And you would recall that in 2015-20, the Auditor General, or the Office of the Auditor General, are very cross, so to speak, as it relates to these things. I hope that his crossness, so to speak, would engage this period, this latter part of the year, where these contracts are doled out to persons. Because all of these things are in contravention of the Fiscal Management and Accountability Act and the Procurement Act. And so they do not have GRA compliance, they do not have NIS compliance, they do not have business registration. I want to see if the Ministry of Public Works, or if they would have warranted such sums of money to this region or any other region. How are they going to take care of that? I hope the Office of the Auditor General, because we can call him out. We are taxpayers of this country. He's not paying him. Those officers are not paying themselves. Minister Ejel is not paying himself. Taxpayers paying him. So when he think he can come and dole out people's money, he has to answer for that. And the public is now aware of what is happening. The public is now aware, so that persons would know what is happening in this country. The viewers would know what is happening. And so they would have broken all of these things that is relates to that. But as it relates to these incomplete projects across this country, in every region, in every ministry, in every agency, you are not hearing the call. And there is time for the public, members of the public, to call out for these things. And once you do not call out, then this program is calling out the Auditor General to do it. And then the last point we want to talk about some other issues very quickly. This program would have been advised because of political affiliation that some public officers go to work across this country in these ministries and regions and what have you departments. They go at any time, they come at any time, they report any day for work, and they don't. This is what was reported to, so allegedly. And so we are bringing it to the attention of the public. We want also to say to you, as we know that government officers allegedly, and I said that early on, but we want to advise you further because they are part and parcel of participating in contracts allegedly and supplies of goods and services. They do not have the time to give to the work they are paid for by taxpayers. And so, ladies and gentlemen, viewers, we want to say how grateful we are to you for affording us this opportunity to speak with you. We will continue to do it, and we would expect you to continue to listen, to submit to us information that you have so that we can be able to bring it on this program. So, viewers, I want to thank you very much, and I want to say to you, good night. May God bless you.